Korach lives in infamy. He's the only person who has a special love in the Torah named after him. There's not even a love not to be like Esav, not to be like Yishmael. We have many Rishoyim in the Torah. But one person who gets special mention, don't be like Korach. Whenever we mention Korach, we know he's the guy that we can't be like. Oh, so terrible, what did he do? Chazal say the machlekes that he brought into Klal Yisrael. Not only his position, he was right, he was wrong, he was definitely wrong against Moshe Rabbeinu, but the fact that he brought machlekes into Klal Yisrael, he made two camps, a camp pro, a camp against Moshe, for Moshe. This was the terrible sin that Korach did, that's not tolerated in the Jewish community, in our communities. Machlekes is something that's completely not tolerated, and the person who instigates the machlekes shalei l'shem shemayim, like the Pirkei Avos calls it, such a person is completely excluded. We have to get rid of him as soon as possible. He causes machlekes. It's what rots the core of a community. It can destroy communities, and therefore such a person we can't have at all. And the special love to remind us, don't ever be like Korach v'adosai. In the Mesilas Yesharim, when he talks about the level of Chasidus is the level that a person should strive for to become after he becomes a Zahir and a Zariz and a Noki and a Tar and a Parish. He should become a Chassid. What's a Chassid? It says in the Mesilas Yesharim, a Chassid is somebody who does more than the Torah demands of him. A person does everything that the Torah demands of him, he's a tzaddik. That's what the Mesilas Yesharim says. A person does more than that, he's a Chassid. He's careful not to be over and avera even more than the Torah demands of him. He's a Chassid. Says the Mesilas Yesharim, the most difficult part of being a chassid is not knowing what to do and what not to do. It's when to do it and when not to do it. Mishkal HaChasidus, he calls it. When is it proper to be machmer? When is it not proper to be machmer? Very interesting the very interesting example that the Mesilas Yesharim brings is the example of the story of Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai, and Reb Tarfon. Beginning of Maseches Brachos, we know there's a machlekes of how a person is supposed to say Kriya Shema. Does he have to say it sitting, lying, standing? And Beis Shammai gives instructions of how to say Kriya Shema. He has to sit, he has to lie. By night he has to lie because it says B'shach B'cha. He has to be lying down when he says Shema. Beis Hillel says no. He said it as if he's going, no matter how he's standing, how he's sitting, it's all kosher for Shema. It's any position is kosher for Shema. You can say it's standing, you can say it's sitting. And then the Gemara relates, the Mishnah relates a story. Reb Tarfon was once going and he decided it was not time for Shema. He's going to be machmer like Beis Shammai. He's going to lie down. He's going to be super machmer, even though Beis Hillel says he doesn't have to. And Reb Tarfon related afterwards that he almost lost his life. There were bandits, there were hooligans, somebody attacked him, and he almost lost his life. And the Chacham said to Reb Tarfon, yeah, you deserve it. You deserve to be put in sakana because you did like Beis Shammai and not like Beis Hillel. Says Mesilas Yesharim, what's the problem doing like Beis Shammai? He wanted to be machmer. We always tried to be machmer. This you're allowed to do. You're allowed to eat this food. But if you want to be machmer, don't eat this food. It's a tremendous thing. The Mesilas Yesharim says, be a chassid. Says the Mesilas Yesharim, no, because here the Mishkal HaChasidus demanded of Reb Tarfon not to do like Beis Shammai. Why? Says the Mesilas Yesharim, because at this period in history, it was a time Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai were arguing for many, many years, and it became like two different parts of Klal Yisrael. There was the Beis Shammai camp and the Beis Hillel camp, and it was ripping the nation apart. And then they decided, they came to a decision, all the Chachamim of the Dark decision, halacha is going to be like Beis Hillel. And that's it, that was the final word. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel always had good relations one with the other, as we know, even though they argued about certain areas of who's mutter to marry and who's also to marry. They still made shidduchim between them. They always had shalom between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. There was never a level of conflict, but there was a certain level of tension between the two camps, and it ended. We said halacha like Beis Hillel, and that was it. And now Reb Tarfon comes at that time in history, says Mesilas Yesharim, and he's going to start being machmer like Beis Shammai. Oh, all the old feelings are going to be reawakened. Oh, maybe Beis Hillel is not right. Look, even he's doing like Beis Shammai. This was the wrong time to be machmer, says Mesilas Yesharim. Not only so, it was such a wrong time that Chas v'Shalom, he almost came to sakanas nefashos. He almost got killed because of it. And the Chacham said, you deserved it. You deserved it. Why? Because there was machmer. Machmer deserve it? Yes. Because in certain areas, it's not time to be machmer. The Pam in the Sefer Torah Lamelech, quoting this Mesilas Yesharim, brings other examples. Says, for example, the halachas of Rosh Hashanah, the chazan who's going to be a chazan Rosh Hashanah, who's going to be about Takeh. It says if you have somebody who's more Yirei Shemayim, a bigger Talmid Chacham, for sure you should choose him. The Shabura on that halacha comment, but only if it's not going to bring to machlekes. And if it will bring to machlekes, then better you should not be the one to be the chazan. Even if you're a bigger Talmid Chacham, you're a bigger tzaddik, you're a bigger Yirei Shemayim. If they choose you over somebody else, and that causes a conflict in the community, leave. Don't be part of that conflict. Don't daven. Better that the person who's less worthy should daven, and there shouldn't be machlekes in Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, or during Tkiyas Shofar. I once heard a story Minchas Salaz, the Rebbe of Munkach. There was a little town next to Munkach, and there was a Rav in the town, and there was some rabble-rousers in the town that were always trying to show up the rabbi. The rabbi doesn't really know his stuff. And once one of these people came home, he saw his wife was preparing chicken, and he saw that the chicken had wasn't something, a broken bone, something that didn't seem super kosher about the chicken. And he said to his wife, hey, there's a shiloh on this chicken, we can't just eat it, we have to ask the Rav. And she said, oh, I asked the Rav, I went to the Rav this morning, he told me it's fine, it's okay. Ooh, now he had an idea. He's going to show the Rav now. Took the chicken, went out in the street, said, oh, our Rav said this chicken is kosher, let's go ask the Rebbe of Munkach. We're going to go ask him if the chicken is kosher. And they went to the next town, the next city was Munkach, and he already had a whole following behind them. Whoa, we're going to show who's right, who the Rav doesn't know what he's saying. Yeah, he said it's kosher, the chicken, of course. And they ran right into the study of the Minchas Elazar all together, plopped the chicken on the table, and he said, Rebbe, is this kosher or not kosher? And the Minchas Elazar, the head of Minchas Elazar, was known not to be somebody, not somebody who was simple about mitzvahs. He was very machmer in his own approach to kiyum mitzvahs. And he took one look at the chicken. He looked around. He saw what was going on. He said to his gabbai, "Bring me a fork, please." Took the fork. Took a piece of chicken. And he said, Baruch Atah Hashem, made a bracha loud and clear, Shahakol Niyeh B'Dvari, and he ate the chicken. All right, the story's over. The Rebbe ate the chicken. Finished. Nothing to talk about. Everybody left. The anger dissipated. The whole thing fell apart, and his whole plan of showing up the Rav was not successful. And they all left when the office was empty and the Rebbe was alone with his gabbai. The gabbai said, Rebbe, no. In Yiddish he said, Kusher. Maybe this chicken was kosher, but it's nicht gewinnt glatt kosher. For sure, it wasn't glatt kosher. It wasn't super kosher. You're the Rebbe of Munkach. We all know how careful you are about what you eat and what you don't eat. And in Yiddish he answered back, when a menschen's flesh is glatt kosher and a person's flesh is glatt kosher, you're allowed to eat a person's flesh? Yeah, I had to eat the chicken. This guy was trying to do something. I don't know what was going on there, but he was trying to do something, starting machlekes or something. This is not the time to be machmer in a piece of chicken. It was kosher and I ate it. This is the lesson of Mesilas Yesharim, Rapam, who gives us this clear message. The Mishkal HaChasidus, Chassid is a very important level. It's the level of the whole ladder of the Mesilas Yesharim leads to being a Chassid, even Kedusha and everything else that comes after Chasidus. Mesilas Yesharim points out that the Chasidus is the most important. A person should always strive to be a Chassid, more and more, to find areas where he can be machmer, where he can do more, in Benad Muchaver, Benad Mulamakim, in his interaction with people, but always with the Mishkal HaChasidus, always weighing it against what am I sacrificing in order. If I'm sacrificing myself, then for sure, go ahead. Sacrificing somebody else, you're going to start a conflict, start a machlekas. That's worse than everything. Your Chasidus is not worth anything, says Rav Pam, says Mesilas Yesharim. If it leads to a machlekes, if it leads to bad feeling, that's not the type of Chasidus that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. We shall be zeiche to be emes Chasidim, to be the ones that are mekayim the Mesilas Yesharim's Chasid, to find the areas in life, in our Shmiras HaMitzvos where we're able to be machmer, but also within keeping with the Mesilas Yesharim's directive of the Mishkal HaChasidus. Good job.